Welcome our viewers to our Point of View channel on YouTube, to our first post NPP primaries show, which elected Dr. Bawumia as flag bearer with 61% of the vote. Tonight we get into the details of the numbers, the regional spreads, and what it means for his victory and also for the NPP in 2024. My guests are Mussa Dankwa of Global Info Analytics. He's a pollster, and Sammi Wiafe, who is our correspondent for the New Patriotic Party and the presidency. If you love this show, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel and share with your followers. Welcome back. So tonight I have Mussa Dankwa, a pollster I've been working with for the past few months, looking at the possibilities. On Thursday before the election, I pushed him and asked him a few questions about what was going to happen. He will tell me what he said. We'll look at it and find out whether he was right or wrong. Sammi Wiafe has been covering the NPP, Akufo-Addo government, and all of that in the past few years, and he covered the election as well. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Bernard.
Great. So I don't even know where to start. Let me start with you, Mussa. What's the 2 or 3 biggest stories in terms of numbers after the election? If you are a journalist writing a story for the Graphic, what would be your 3 headlines?
I would say that the flip by Bawumia in Ashanti region was a big story for me.
Why do you call it a flip? There was not
because he was lagging in the polls.
But that was a month before.
No, well, it was weeks.
Because his win was so comfortable, so I don't know. So for you, his performance in Ashanti was big for you?
Yes, it was big for me.
He won, I think, 60-something%.
Yeah, 65 thereabout.
So that for you was a big story?
It was a big story.
What's story number 2?
Story number 2
I'm pushing you, I'm not a journalist.
I think Greater Accra was also a tough one.
The fact that it was nearly 50-50?
Yes.
That was a big story for you, Greater Accra?
Yes, in Ashanti region. And remember, these are the 2 big regions that really...
Yeah, they are the 2 biggest regions?
Yes.
So you're saying Ashanti Bawumia surprised you by doing that well?
Yes.
And Greater Accra, Kennedy surprised you by splitting it?
Yes.
So you're expecting something else? What was the 3rd possible big story for you?
For Volta region, I think I was expecting him to win it.
You thought Bawumia was going to win Volta?
Yes, won with the Volta region, and unfortunately he came short.
We'll come to the reason. Sammi, what about you? What's the biggest story for you, or biggest couple of stories?
It's only to Greater Accra and then the party headquarters.
What, at the party headquarters?
Yeah.
Why?
Because the votes Bawumia got at the party headquarters and what Kennedy got at the party headquarters. Many people have said that the headquarters is more or less the elites who were voting there, who voted there. And so for 130-something, people to vote for Kennedy at the party headquarters, it means even the elite within the party wanted him to be the leader of the party.
133 against 2.
Against 2 something.
4-3 or so.
So if all these people, 133, vote for Kennedy at the party headquarters, it means even the elites in the NPP, using that word advisedly, even wanted Kennedy to lead the party for the 2024 election.
Let's look at the Greater Accra numbers in greater detail. First, I'll show you just the numbers, all right? It looks very close. Then we will break it down into constituencies, because what happened this election was that it was voted on all the voting constituencies plus the headquarters. So the raw numbers tell us that 19,000 versus 17,000. So less than 1,000 difference, because it's 17,000 something. But I think the real story is in when you break it down into the constituencies won and the margins. And I don't know if the team can put that up for us first and foremost. So the Greater Accra region is the largest region in the country when it comes to elections for 2024. The numbers that showed less than 1,000 votes difference, or maybe a little bit over 1,000 votes difference. But if we look at the spread, and we're just going to look at the constituencies won and lost. If you look at the vice president, he won a lot of the more urbanized constituencies. That's the way it's looking. All right. So, for example, he won Ablekuma Central, Ablekuma North, Ablekuma South, Ablekuma West, all the 4 Ablekumas he won. Then he won Okankwe North, South, and Central. There you have it. Then he wins Tema East. But he also wins some less urban, like Adan, Ashaiman, Domi Abra Obom. Of course, 2 other urbanized ones, Klote Kole, Ladare Kotopon, he wins. Ododio he wins. And then he wins Sege. and Trouble, which is also very... So you can say that the most rural he wins there will be Domia Bra Obom, and then maybe Sege. But Sege is no longer rural. Sege is quite urbanized. And then you can even say Ada. But if you look at Kennedy, Adenta, Amasaman, Anyaso Utum, I also was Wagom, Botian Onglesia Manfro, Dome Kwabenya, not surprising. Bon Katamansu, Krowale Jokuku, Madina, Ningo Pramsai Osudoku, Tema West, Tema Central, and Wejak Bawi. If you put this on a map, Kennedy will be outside and Bawumia will be inside. If you did the Greater Accra map, generally, the heat map will show Kennedy the further you move away from the city and Bawumia. Was that part of your polling? Was that surprising to you?
No, because we didn't focus specifically on the constituencies.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have zoomed deep down. Well, we have some numbers there. But if you look at the numbers, the areas you've looked at, the areas Kennedy won are the biggest constituencies in the Greater Accra region in terms of voting population.
Say again?
The areas Kennedy won are one of the biggest constituencies in terms of voting.
In terms of populations?
Yes.
Okay, if you look at it closely, Amasaman is big.
Yes.
Adenta is big. Lejokuku is big.
Dome Kwabenya is big.
Dome Kwabenya is huge. Madina is big.
Huge.
If you look on the Bawumia winnings, the biggest of the Bawumia constituencies for Greater Accra, you're right, maybe Tema East.
Yes.
And then possibly Ododo and Ashaiman. Wow. So for population-wise, even though Bawumia won more constituencies than Kennedy, Sammi, what does this say? What did you make of this? The fact that the more within Accra the constituencies where Bawumia would win it, but the more you moved out, which seems a bit similar to NDC's own strength. Can we say Kennedy won the more NDC type constituencies? If you look at these numbers a bit closer,
it's possible to conclude that way, because as Mussa said, when you look at the votes from where Dr. Boy, the constituencies and what Kennedy got more or less the populated areas, as this guy was saying. And in any major election, we all know that if you win Greater Accra, you're your way to the presidency more or less. So even within internal elections, if you should gather more votes within the Greater Accra region, then your chances are bright. So a constituency like Dome Kwabenya, we all know that is one of the huge constituencies in elections in this country. So for Kennedy to win vote in Dome Kwabenya, it sends a strong signal for others to also know that even though many people say that the vice president or even the NPP within the Greater Accra region more or less dominates, because look at the last election, the NPP won the Greater Accra region. And so even within the Greater Accra region, the NPP is dominating, but yet there are people within this particular region.
the NPP won the Greater Accra presidential.
The presidential, I mean.
Actually, but if you look at the parliamentary, actually, can you put the Greater Accra chart up again while Sammi speaks? Sammi, it's not that straightforward in terms of, for example, look at it. Adenta is NDC.
Yes.
Amasaman for the first time was won by NPP.
Anyaso
Otum is MPP. Ayaso West Ogun is MPP. Botiano
is MPP.
Dome Kwabenya is MPP. So it's actually not true that it's... Then Ponkatamanso is NDC. Krowa is NDC.
Kuku is NDC.
Madina NDC. Ningo Prampam NDC. Shai Osudoku NDC. Tema Central is MPP. Tema West is MPP. Wejak is MPP. So it's actually split. There's no method to that. If you look on the Bawumia side, Trobu is MPP. Tema East is NDC. Sege is NDC. Okankwe South is MPP. North is NDC. Central is MPP. Odio NDC. La NDC. Klote NDC. Domiabra NDC. Ayawaso North NDC. Ayawaso East NDC.
Central is MPP. That's where Henry Kote is.
Ashaiman NDC. Ablekuma NDC. So actually, Bawumia has more of the NDC.
More of the NDC.
That's quite interesting. Wow. So Greater Accra, but Mussa, why is the fact that Greater Accra was split troublesome for Bawumia? Why should he be worried about this number?
I mean, Greater Accra is very important for the general elections. Not only because it's a swing region, but also has a huge number of voters here. And if you're not able to hold Greater Accra comfortably, you're going to be in big trouble elsewhere. So it is important that he really wins it hands down. And the fact that he struggled to win it with a small margin means that he could have problem in the general election.
The difference in votes was about 1,800 because you had 17,282 for Kennedy and then 19,002. So basically 1,800 votes, which you can say is interesting.
Yeah.
Let's go to another region quickly, Volta region, and just let's try and see what happened there. So the Volta region, Kennedy wins by a similar margin to his loss in the Greater Accra. So it's almost like opposite to Greater Accra region. Look at the numbers there. Keta, Angloga, Ketu South, Ketu North, South Town, North Town, Central Town, all the towns, Home Municipal, Bando North Dai, Hohwe. So Baumia wins Akachi South, Adaklu, Akachi North, Agoti, Meziope, Ho West, South Dai, Afaja to South. You know what's interesting here? What can you see here, guys?
I think the upper Volta, is it?
All the places below the Volta that were affected by flooding was won by Kennedy.
You see my theory.
Because we went to Keta, right?
Yeah.
Keta is, what do you call it? We went to Anyako. Angloga is south. Ketu South is South Volta. Ketu North is. The three towns all affected by flooding. Home Municipal is not. Bakpando was. Not Dai was. Hohwe is not. Baumia wins Afajato South, which was slightly affected, and South Dai. Baho West Agotime. So Abamia is more non-flooding.
Non-flooding areas. And
what was your poll saying?
I said that he was going to win Volta region.
You said Bamia was going to win Volta region?
Yes, and I think towards the end, the third, fourth, fifth week, the last 3 weeks before the election, that's when the flooding really hit the area very well. And I think the government response was what caused Baumia this.
So this is a flooding
effect.
And I was on the phone with a party executive, a regional executive in the Volta region, just to understand how the vice president did not perform well. And one of the major reasons was this flooding. They felt that the government response wasn't good enough. Individuals are rather bettering their lives rather than the government through NADMO to do that. So this was more or less like an anger vote or angry vote against the government, which the vice president is an integral part of it. So they voted in anger.
You know what surprises me though, Sammi? I listened to Kennedy, Alan Chamatin claim that he's very popular in the Volta region. But also Dr. Baumia say that if he's put on the ticket, he will get votes in the Volta region. So I don't even know. So first question, was there an Alan effect in the Volta region that maybe Alan's voters may have voted for
Kennedy?
For Kennedy?
It's possible.
It's
very possible.
It's
because the Volta, Alan has always started the Volta region as one of his strongholds. Even with his internal election, for the first round, he was in the Volta region. He spent quite a number of days there and was really saying that the Volta region is one of his strongholds when it comes to this major election. So for him not to be contesting, perhaps his supporters felt that why don't we give it to Kennedy, who is more closer in terms of doing the best for Alan, who is not in this particular race. And so voting for Kennedy, they felt that a vote for Kennedy was more or less a vote for Alan. And so we are not part of the establishment. We do not wish to be part of the establishment. And so let's vote for Kennedy, which may represent that of Alan Chamatin.
Mussa, anything on that? An Alan effect in Volta?
There's Alan effect everywhere.
Everywhere?
Yes, everywhere. And if you look at I think the success of Baumia and even Kennedy, they all benefit from Alan's exit from the race. Because the poll shows that about a third of Alan's supporters were voting for Baumia, and the other 2/3 were voting for Kennedy. So they both benefited from Alan's exit.
I wanted to look at the Volta numbers a bit more closely, if you would just permit me. And then maybe I'll go to Greater Accra numbers again and look at the differences. So, because it's not just who won the constituency, but also how well they won it and what it means. So if you look at the Volta constituency numbers, for example, I think the biggest spread for my sheet for Kennedy in terms of performance, where he got the most votes, Southton, right? He got 427. Baumia gets 355. He also gets 433 in North Tong. So he gets big votes in the Tong areas, which is to be expected. His biggest spread will be probably Ketu South, 404 to 255. Right? So he does do well in terms of his spreads. Baumia's best performance in the Volta region, in terms of numbers, is Ho West, his whole West, where he gets 437 to Kennedy's 293. So, but the issue with Volta Ridge is that the numbers are not too big. So it didn't really influence the final.
Yeah, I think the overall difference between them, I think, was 866.
866.
Yeah, overall vote margin that Kennedy used to win.
But if we run this for the Greater Accra region, what can you say? If we go to the numbers for the specific constituencies, what does it tell us about the relative strength of the men? Because in the Greater Accra region, of course, Bawumia wins more seats. But it seems as if even some places that Kennedy loses, the numbers are very small, right?
Yeah, I think the gap was 1,720.
Yes. Overall. And even though Kennedy won fewer constituencies, he won areas with a larger population. Yeah. And the places he loses with smaller margins.
Yeah.
So if you look at places like Okankwe, Central here, the margin wasn't that big. Very interesting analysis indeed. All right, let's go to the Western region. That's another region of interest to me, where there is a split in the numbers. So we have a healthy number of constituencies won by Bawumia. Sammi, take me through these constituencies.
Okay, so Bawumia won the Takoradi constituency. He won the Amenfi West constituency, Amenfi Central. In fact, all the Amenfi constituencies, Central, West, and East. He also won Sekendi, the Fia constituency, Chakwa and Soem, Pristia Huni Valley, Mpoho Jomoro, Ivalue Jomoro Jura, and then the Elembele constituency. And then Kennedy only wins 4 constituencies in the Western region: Esikado, Ketan, Shaman, Kwesi Mintin, Ahanta West, and then Wassa East. So it was Kennedy doing 4 constituencies in the Western region, and then Dr. Bawumia doing, I think, 7 or 8 constituencies in the Western region.
But what impressed me was some of the margins Bawumia pulled in there. For example, Takoradi got 862. Yeah. Kennedy just gets 315. So that's about 500 votes. And Takoradi is
It's a huge constituency. That's the deputy minister for
lands.
Duka was one of the main campaign persons for Dr. Bawumia.
Yeah, the number was big. He was
one of the main campaign persons. One of the main campaign persons.
Does that say anything about Duke's own strength? Because we know he's been facing some challenges.
I think his strength in the party, in the constituency, yes.
Yeah,
because he faced Charles Bisu, and some people are speculating he could face the Cocoa Board guy. Was Fifi Boafo.
Fifi Boafo coming there. And you know what is helping him too? You know, recently, I think there's a football team down that particular area, which he's personally involved in.
Which is also making him popular.
Which is also making him more popular in that constituency. So
Mediama
FC, thank you very much. And so his personal involvement in the team and bringing all the youth around and raising them through football is making him very popular in that constituency.
Another one that impressed me about Bawumia was Prestia Huni Valley. 839 to Kennedy's 378. Almost 500 as well. Prestia is also huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
So for some reason, Bawumia showed a lot of strength in some of the larger Western constituencies. And I think the places that Kennedy won were not that big. So this was a good win for him, because I think you were saying that Western was going to be closer.
Yeah. But Western was going to be close. Let me see how...
Yeah, because we
will come to that when we get to
Yes, when we get to yours. But a few other numbers of interest for us in terms of the gap. Evaluate the numbers went up. Kennedy 207, Bawumia 366. So Evaluate isn't that huge. If you go to Elembele, Bawumia 481, Kennedy 281, about 200 votes, not too big. Jomoro as well, Bawumia 141, Kennedy 141, Bawumia 282. So I think in terms of what you call a flip, I think you can say Western region was strong for the vice president, although Kennedy does win a few.
Remember, there were a huge number of people who were undecided and not disclosing. Probably they broke in his favor quite strongly towards the end.
Did your undecided thing make sense at the end when we put everything together?
Yeah.
It did?
It did.
Can we trace any local issues to what's happening in the region? Isikado Ketan is
Jogati's constituency.
They voted for Kennedy.
Yeah, and well, perhaps their man wasn't in there, so let's give it to a different person other than the vice president.
And then Shama, which is also
in the same area corridor.
But if you look at the 3 constituencies, Isikado, Shama, and Kusimiti, you consider these as urban, more or less urban constituencies within the Western region.
Yeah.
So for Kennedy to win votes within these urban circles, it gives a wider picture, or tells a bigger picture, the popularity of the vice president in these urban communities.
But you have to add Takrady and Sekondi. So the 5, Isikadu Ketan, Shama, Kwesi Mintim are all within that enclave. As is Takrady and I think Sekondi. So he wins the traditional Takrady and Sekondi, and he loses Isikadu, Shama, and Kwesi Mintim. So they split it. And he wins only Ahanta West and Wassa East. Bawumia wins the rest. So clearly he's the favorite. I don't think he'll be too worried in the Western region.
Not at all.
I don't think he'll be too worried in the Western region. I will bring you Ashanti shortly, but let's just do one other quick one, which isn't that controversial, before we get to the Ashanti region. Let's look at the Eastern region. I mean, you did predict that Bawumia was going to win the Eastern region, but the numbers were serious. But Kennedy basically just wins the Krobo constituencies, Kuwa, from Plains North and Upper West Akim. Bawumia sweeps the whole thing.
But it was expected.
It was?
It was expected because the Eastern region, the person who was leading the Bawumia campaign was from the Eastern region.
Okay.
He represents the Eastern region at the National Council, which is Sammi Wiafe.
Okay.
Now you had big wigs within the party from the region endorsing Dr. Bawumia. So Information Minister was endorsing Dr. Bawumia. General Dambuche was endorsing Dr. Bawumia. They are all from the Eastern region. New Jabin, the rest.
Deputy Minister for Trade.
It was very well expected. And the Eastern region happens to be one of the strongholds of the NPP as a political party in terms of major election. And so for these influential individuals from the Eastern region coming out publicly to endorse the vice president, it was really expected. It was really, really expected. And even during the campaign, when the vice president was in the Eastern region, it was more like he was in the Northern region campaigning.
Same level of support.
They came out in their numbers, pledging their commitment and support to him. Almost every constituency he went in the Eastern region. So when the results came, I wasn't really surprised.
But that's strong for him, because if Eastern is their traditional stronghold and he's strong there, it means if NPP works, he will be strong there. Because obviously Eastern and Ashanti are NPP's 2 strongholds. And he wins Eastern and Ashanti by almost the same percentage.
We shouldn't overstretch delegate polls.
We should not.
No, we should not.
Because these are party people.
They are party people.
No matter what you do, they vote for the party.
So while the opposite may be true, that if he's weak in a stronghold, it's a problem.
It's a problem.
The counterfactual is not true.
No.
Because these are party loyalists. Did you notice the similarity in the regional pairings? How Western and Western North literally give the 2 men the same percentage, and now Eastern and Ashanti giving them the 2%. I thought that was very interesting. Like if you look on your chart, the numbers for the 2 regions percentage is exactly the same.
Very, very similar.
I mean, that's interesting.
Very similar.
Because even though you had predicted a different outcome for Ashanti, which I'll come to later on, is there anything about the Krobo constituencies we should look at, Sammy? Lower Manya, Upper Manya, for Kennedy to win? Anything there? Could it be a Jaku giving him support? Because we are told a Jaku.
I think you could say so, and also NDC areas
as well.
But why would NDC areas be preferring Kennedy?
Well, Ben, you also want to understand that the vice president is part of the current establishment. Perhaps they don't like the party. They don't like him as a candidate because there's a perception out there that the establishment has neglected the grassroots.
Yeah.
And so he being part of this establishment, why don't you do away with him and bring a new person? And when you listen to Kennedy during this entire campaign, that was his message. When he goes to every constituency, he brings out a number of things that you are here, they don't mind you, I am your messiah, I'm the one to get you all the things you involve. Those people at the top there don't care about you. They only come to you when there's an election. And so I'm sure this message, went down into the minds of these delegates in these 4 constituencies and felt that, let's just give Kennedy a chance to lead the party.
But what surprised me, if the NDC people don't like Bawumia, why should that make them... Why should the MPP delegates then decide to... I mean, it doesn't make sense to me, right? These are MPP people. So if you are in an NDC stronghold, That should not influence the way you vote if you are in the party. No. Unless you are telling me that they are in both parties.
Both NDC and NPP are all friends.
They interact. They interact.
You know, they play. They go to the same church. They play the same football. They go to the same mosques. They are more or less brothers and sisters.
And they complain about the same thing.
The same thing. And the only difference about them is that the political party or the ideology.
So you are saying that the NDC dominated areas, the worldview there can influence the NPP delegates? I think that's interesting. You think so?
Yes.
So if the general consensus within the area is that the government has failed, somehow if the NPP people get an alternative, they would rather prefer to choose that alternative because they believe...
Yes.
And then NPP people also complain that things are difficult for them.
Because of the 4 seats Kennedy won, 3 traditionally go to NDC.
Yeah.
Apart from Kwewu. In fact, I think you can say all
of them.
Afram Plains changes, but Upper West Akim usually is NDC.
It was only
Lower Manya and Upper Manya is usually
NDC.
Yes. And even Kwewu Afram Plains, it depends, right?
Yeah.
So that is interesting. That they are listening to the NDC people. No, I think that's interesting. Anyway, we are breaking down the results just to give you a sense of the regional breakdown. When we come back, we'll look at some other regions. Ashanti, Central is the only region Kennedy won with, you can say, a convincing victory, although he won Volta as well. We'll also look at some northern constituencies. And later on, we'll come to the prediction made by Mussa and the outcome, all in a bit to make sense of the numbers. This is the point of view. Stay with us.
How do I cope with this heat?
By staying 5 degrees cooler.
Body odor is caused by germs, and on hot days, the sweating and the odor are more. That's why you need to get the new improved Dettol Cool Soap, which offers up to 5 degrees instant cooling sensation.
This advert is FDA approved.
Yes, it's here again. Better, brighter, and stronger. It's the Festival of Education, the grand finale of the Global Super Teachers Conference 2023. Get inspired by educators, including parents, teachers, and pupils. Discover new tech, best practice schools, and the 2023 EduCom Award winners. It's happening live on Saturday, 11th November 2023 at the UPS Auditorium, Accra, Ghana, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Speakers, Honorable Johnny Tim Fojo, Bernard Avle, Kofi Asari, and more, and hosted by Grant Bumio. Come and network with world-class educators. Get your free admission at Eventbrite or globalsuperteacher.com. For more information, just call 026-271-4106. The Global Super Teachers Conference. Get informed, go perform.
This conference is brought to you by Africa Education Gateway, Pearson Edexcel, Glossnet, School World Events, NAPS, Access Bank Ghana, and Ghana Olympiad Academy.
It's the Global Super Teachers Conference. Get informed, go perform.
Welcome back. We're still on the point of view. My guest, Mussa Dankwa, pollster, and Sammi Wiafe of Citi TV. Trying to make sense of the numbers. Greater Accra region was split, although Dr. Miao wins it. Dr. Miao wins very handsomely the eastern region and also sweeps the north as is expected. But from Mussa's point of view, Ashanti was the most impressive of Dr. Bamia because in his view, based on the numbers he was getting in the polls, Ashanti was going to be difficult. But his victory in Ashanti, and I want you to put up the numbers for us. I mean, apart from 3, and Ashanti has the largest number of constituencies. Yes. So when you put it in terms of constituencies, it's a bit more impressive that apart from Fomena, New Edubiase, and Busomi Freho, Fomena is where the deputy speaker is from, where there was an independent candidate. New Edubiase typically NDC wins it. It's one of the 3 that NDC typically wins in Ashanti. New Edubiase, Asawase, and the Jurase Chedumase. I don't know what happens in Bosomi Freho, but everywhere else, I mean, look at the Ashanti numbers. Everything else goes to Bamia. So tell me what happened to you there, because you didn't get... You said it was going to much closer.
You know, they were kind of led by 6%. And 5% were not disclosing. So that 5% was not that huge.
Yeah.
But there were 22% of voters who were saying that they were undecided.
So you think that the Bawumia people were not telling you?
I think probably they were undecided, but the last week of the campaign, when the polls came out, we heard a lot of things was happening there. So those guys who were deciding at the last minute broke for Bawumia.
So you think it was a bit tight up in October, but as we got closer, it swung. But this is a shalaking. This is a major. Like this is 70. What's the percentage? 70 to 26.
It's about 60-something%.
Yeah, so 60-something percent. So Kennedy does get a lot of votes, but this is clear sweeping. Sammi, for you who's been following the campaign, what accounted for this?
Well, Ben, you realize that even before this election, there was a group set up known as the Ashanti's MPs for Bawumia. It was led by Dr. Sammi Wiafe, MP for Efiduase Asokwe also, yeah.
Yes.
And then he was the campaign coordinator for Dr. Bawumia in the Ashanti region.
All right.
He had promised a 90% vote for Dr. Bawumia even before the primary.
In Ashanti?
In Ashanti region.
Wow.
Because according to him, he wanted to make a statement just for people to know that the Ashantis love Dr. Bawumia and in quote love a long time to lead.
Probably because of Alan's claim to Ashanti.
Yes. And so they wanted to establish that fact that Ashantis also love Dr. Bawumia and they love Elodna. They want Elodna to lead the NPP into the election. Just to clear the perception that the NPP was a non-Accra party. And so he personally moved from every constituency in the Ashanti region looking for support for Dr. Bawumia, soliciting for support, even bringing along NPP MPs in the Ashanti region. The more reason why you saw someone like Oseche Mensah Bonsu following the Bawumia campaign, Deputy Finance Minister John Kuma, the Education Minister
Educhum,
Napo, all the big boys,
Bantama,
all the big boys you can
Minister for Works,
all the big boys.
So almost all the Ashanti minister MPs
were behind Bawumia.
And
even CEOs, influential CEOs from the Ashanti region were also part of his campaign in the Ashanti region. So they thought that it was the right time to push someone up there who will not only represent the MP but also represent the interests of the Ashanti and the entire country in general. So when I saw these results coming out on Saturday, I was not shocked one bit because I knew the work they had done in that particular region, and I knew very well that this was the result they were going to get come Saturday.
This is serious. And what does this mean for his choice of running mate? Because there's been a whole conversation about...
It puts him in a very difficult position.
It puts him...
Yeah.
Everybody did
But just to be clear, though, if you look at the numbers, so the biggest margin in Ashanti was Efiduase Asokore, where he gets 93.3%. That's where
Ayu is coming from. His coordinator.
So if you rank this in terms of, in fact, this is actually ranked.
Okay.
So the biggest is Efiduase Asokore. Yeah. Second is Mampong, where he gets 86.4. Then the third is Ejiso John Kuma, where he gets 85.5. Then Bantama is lower. Menchia South is the next. That's Napo. Right. Napo. Menchia South, he gets 85.5. And then in Ahafo Ano Southwest, he gets 82.8. He gets Asante Achim Central, Ejras Echedumasi. So in that order. All right. So will this be some sort of jostling for the position of running mate?
It has started already, Ben. I've seen a list of about 10 people, 10 members of parliament for the Ashanti region who many people are saying are lobbying for the position of running mates, and all these 10 people are certain members of parliament from the Ashanti region.
Oh, really?
And so the belief is that if Elodna is leading, obviously they must get someone from the south, and that person must be an Ashanti region, so that the party can consolidate its gain within.
So are the MPs using the percentage you got as their bargaining chip?
Of course, man.
If they were, the person who...
Are you a VA?
Who is the MP for Mampong? I don't know who the MP for Mampong is. But Ejisu John Kuma is third.
Yeah.
Napo is fourth, based on this list.
And Napo's name has come out several times, even before the primaries, as a possible running mate. Several times.
If you use this list, Educhum's Bosomchi
It's
number 30. He got 16.2%.
He has no seat at the table.
And if you also his name has also popped up.
Chesa Bosu is what?
Swami.
Is somewhere
down there.
Swami is number 35. Swami is 35. Swami was 56.4. So
Napo is the leading candidate.
Mesia South is 85.5 for Bawumia. Bettered only by Ejiso Mampo and Efidiasi Asokori. There's also the Ahafano Southwest and Ashanti Achim Central. Ejura, which typically NDC wins.
Yes.
But this time Ejura gives Bawumia 82.2. And you can look at the settler communities there, possibly influencing this. And then Setra Front Plains North and South also giving Bawumia 80%. Setra Front Plains, and then Aswasi, which again has a strong Muslim community, giving him 77. So we can tell what's happening here. Wow. So Bawumia will be confident that he has the support of the...
And a running mate will come from one of these constituencies.
So running mate will not be from Eastern?
No, it will come from the Ashanti region.
You're 100%?
100%. Sure.
You also think so?
It will come from the Ashanti region.
Will it be an MP or he will pull a surprise?
It will be an MP, a sitting member of parliament.
Really?
Yeah.
But don't you think the way Akufo-Addo surprised us by bringing Bawumia also surprised us by giving us somebody from Ashanti which we know but didn't think he would give us?
That person will not pull anything.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
But
it depends on who he is.
No. The person coming is a sitting member of parliament
He
and a very popular figure at that. You go in for a very popular person in the Ashanti. Remember in 2000...
Can't he pick like an experience like Isaac Osei? Former MP for Subin.
He's also from Ashanti region.
No, I'm talking, but you're saying, but he's not MP.
Yeah.
The way you're narrowing it down to the MP, sitting MPs, why he could use an influential Ashanti who's not in parliament.
But from what I've
just
heard,
to end the fighting.
You know, these primaries, people have sacrificed.
Yeah, they've worked hard.
So how do you reward them?
Bawumia didn't do any work. Akufo-Addo gave it to him.
But Ben, you know, the narrative about Dr. Bawumia's one was a bit different because we all heard and we all know that wasn't Akufo-Addo's choice. Akufo-Addo's choice was the current ambassador to US, Haji Alima. That was the president's choice. Original choice. And he had presented that name at the National Council meeting. Some few hours to confirmation.
And then what did they say?
And then things changed.
Okay. So you're saying that Bawumia will pick somebody from this...
A sitting member of parliament in the Ashanti region to partner him.
That's what you are saying?
Yes. And it shall come to pass.
Hey, you are very sure of this.
Prophecy.
All right. So Ashanti is the big story. You had said Kennedy was going to do something, but clearly this was not what the turnout was. Let's just look at the northern areas quickly before we do central. Northeast, just to put it there for impact. This is the only place where almost every other person got 0. Like, I look at the Northeast, I think apart from one constituency where somebody gets 16 or so, everybody gets 0 everywhere. I mean, it's...
You remember the special delegates conference or congress? It's a similar thing happened.
Yeah.
Bawumia got 100% in Northeast region. It happened. So when I saw this results on Saturday, I wasn't shocked. I wasn't shocked at all because this is his home region, if for want of a better word. The people want one of their own. So obviously, they will go for one of their own. So when I saw this result on Saturday, as one would say, it's shaking me because I knew...
When you look at the total votes Bawumia gets, 3,444. Kennedy gets 23.
Yeah.
And the other two get 5 and 2. Like, this is serious.
Yeah, very serious.
He owns the region. Of course, it's just 6 constituencies, but it's still significant.
Yeah, it's significant.
He owns the region. And it's funny because not all the people in the region are even Mamprosi. Because if you look at Chereponi, Bumpurubu, even Unio, you have Bimobes there and you have other non-Mamprosi, but he wins everything. You know, that is interesting. Of course, within NPP. Look at the Northern region too. Northern region was also pretty impressive because a lot of these are what you call Dagbon constituencies. He sweeps the whole thing. Mion, Zabzugu, Tamale, all the 3 Tamales, Karaga, Kumbungu. Indeed, when you look at the parliamentary map of the country, you can say that Bawumia split the parliamentary seat in 2020. Because even though John Mahama does win the North, parliamentary-wise, Bawumia's...
It was a lot split.
So it means in 2024, Northern region is going to be very interesting. The North will be very interesting. It's not going to be straightforward.
Yeah.
It's going to be very complicated.
The more reason why the NPP have said that they needed to bring Dr. Bawumia on board. I had a conversation with Sammi Wiafe and Mr. Fedawari even before the election, and they explained certain things to a group of us who were in this meeting. And they said that the more reason why the NPP needs to bring Dr. Bawumia is because in the 2024 election, he's the only one who can split the vote of the NDC in the Northern region. So if Mahama is taking, let's say, 50%, Dr. Bawumia is also likely to take 50% because of the inroads he's made since 2008 when he joined the campaign. And so if they split the votes within the Northern region and then also allow only the NDC to take the Volta region, the NPP is also able to take their strongholds and other
traditional
regions.
Strongholds.
They are good to go.
So for them, in dividing the North, they have
the main
diminished
strategy,
NDCs.
The main strategy is divide the North and the settler communities and the Zongos.
You see,
that is the strategy for them.
we must bear in mind that elections are not football matches where you have a third match. And the dynamics that caused the situation in 2020 is completely different today.
All right.
So what we are seeing, the numbers are quite different. So maybe
for now. No, but I'm just saying that if somebody as vice president is able to help his party increase their northern votes and a parliament is split in the north, if he's on the ticket, chances are that he will do much better, generally.
But you and I looked at these numbers, parliamentary, some few weeks ago, and you saw what was happening there.
But that could be because of the sitting MPs. Anyway, so Northern region, I noticed that Northern region and Upper West were very similar in terms of, apart from Northeast, those were the two regions that he was more popular. He struggled a bit in Upper East and Savannah. Okay, so show me Upper West. So, and you can understand Savannah because that's where Dr. John Mahama is from. Upper
also,
East.
Boniface comes from there. Alan.
Okay, from Savannah.
Yes.
But if you go to Upper West, he cleans the whole place as well. There were two constituencies also he didn't do too well in the Upper East. Some of which...
Zabila and is it Binduri?
Zabila and Binduri. And Binduri is the only place in Upper East that NPP has an MP. But I think from the analysis we've been told, there's a strong Kusasi community. So even in Boku Central, Kennedy's numbers were strong. And people are bringing some of the chieftaincy issues, conflicts in there. But Upper West was a clean sweep as well. Very interesting indeed. I don't know if we have Central. I just want to end with Central if we have it. That's the region that has the Kennedy's winning. If they have it, they'll put it up for me to see. That's the region where you can say there was a proper victory for Kennedy. But we don't have it yet. We'll put it up shortly for you. The other pairings, okay, let me show you Oti. Show me Oti briefly. Oti and Ahafo gave Bawumia a similar... Yeah, he got everything
there.
Same as...
Proper showdown in the opposite direction.
Which was interesting because you were looking at Oti to be a bit more evenly split.
Yeah, Oti was closer a bit in the polls, but in the end, I think
it was... he did 60-30. That was 65-35 or so. Very similar to Ahafo. Which I don't know the race between Oti and Ahafo. But he does win Oti pretty well. So, well... All right, let's come to your predictions now. What's your model saying? What was your main prediction? Because I think there were two scenarios you gave.
Yeah, and we gave the most realistic scenario that we expected to pan out. Yes.
So let's look at that because there was you did tell me that if the undecideds turned to Dr. Bawumia, that was one possible outcome. And if the undecided turned to Kennedy, that was another possible outcome. And then you said that the most likely outcome was the latter, where because they see Bawumia as an establishment, they will go for Kennedy. And so that was the outcome you were looking at, that more of the undecided will go for Kennedy. And if that came...
But because Bawumia was already ahead with 20 points, and he was going to get a portion of that undecided, it will not be sufficient for Kennedy to outpace Bawumia in the lead. And that would drag Bawumia numbers to lower 60 to 58.4%.
So you said you didn't see any scenario that Kennedy was going to win?
No, there was no scenario he was going to win.
But there was either a scenario of a 60-40
or 65, 30, 34. And that was the most unlikely scenario we said it won't happen.
All right, guys, can you show me that chart for us to look at briefly? So you were pretty confident that Bawumia's numbers will be around 60.
Yes.
All right. What is this?
Okay, this is the poll projection was 60.3. That is 58.4 plus 1.91 margin of error.
So the deep blue is your poll?
Is the poll, yes. And the light blue is the actual results.
And so you thought Kennedy will get 38.5, you get 37.4.
Yeah.
What was your margin of error?
1.91%.
Almost 2%.
Yes.
Oh, wow, this is serious. You said it was the most likely scenario.
Yes, it's the most likely scenario.
When people said that they were going to get 80%, what did you make of that?
I was just laughing.
You sure?
I was laughing, Bernard.
Later they reduced to 75%.
Yeah, but were they sure, when you interviewed them, did you get the impression they were sure they were going to get 80? Or they were just saying it for saying it?
No, if you look at the poll, they showed 80%, 80.8%. That poll had sampled 55% Akans in the sample, whereas Akans in the NPP is around 60-something%. So they undersampled the Akans, which is where Kennedy was a bit stronger.
So your sample took into cognizance a national sample?
Yes.
Wow. We'll come back and look more at what you did, because, I mean, Sammi, this is very serious. To do 60.3 and then to get 61.4, 38.5 and get 30. I mean, this is almost 100% spot on. So we'll come back and look at this and also look at Central. Point of view tonight, making sense of the numbers with Mussa, Dankwa and Sammi Wiafe. Stay with us.
Intestinal worms may cause itching, abdominal pains, loss of appetite, and anemia. Intestinal worms may enter the body through improperly cooked foods, dust, or contaminated soils. Wormplex 400 is an effective dewormer for both adults and children and can be taken at any time of the day. It is recommended to deworm periodically. 1 tablet of Wormplex 400 kills intestinal worms, roundworms, hookworms, tapeworms, and other intestinal worms. I recommend Wormplex 400 to you because it has worked for my family. Lactating mothers, pregnant women, and children under 2 years should consult their physician before taking Wormplex 400.
Wormplex 4, Wormplex 4, Wormplex 400. Yeah.
Wormplex 400, as soon harmful. This advert is FDA approved.
Whatever the occasion, with ATL, you can never be out of style. ATL, bringing fabric to life.
Finally, anyone can become a house owner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You Go Flip, a real estate gaming platform that allows you to play and stand a chance of winning a house or cash or consolidated prizes, such as savings towards a house. Simple and easy to play. Visit www.yougoflip.com. Buy a ticket to enter the game. Wait for the end of the game to enjoy the win. Anyone can win. Flip it or own it. You Go Flip. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Play responsibly, not for persons below 18 years, and gaming can be addictive.
The point of view tonight is more about the accounting for the outcome. Mussa Dankwa, our pollster, Sammi Wiafe, also here covering the NPP election. Mussa has been talking about his prediction. So just explain to me what you meant by this. I think we showed this on Thursday during the situation. What was this?
So this was after we distributed the not disclosing voters and undecided voters to all the four candidates in the way we understood the race to be at the time. And that modeling gave Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia 58.4% and Kennedy 40.4%.
Which means that you knew that the undecided and the not disclosing were going to vote.
Vote, yes.
So you
shared that vote to the candidates based on what we have back in the model.
So this is what you thought was going to happen?
Yes. So these numbers, plus or minus the margin of error, 1.9%.
Which is very far from what a lot of people were saying.
Yes.
Most people were saying he was going to get about 70%.
And remember, these numbers came from 245 constituencies.
Where you used a national sample?
Yes.
So you're pretty sure this was correct?
I was pretty sure. I mean, I wasn't shaking at all.
This is interesting. Of course, you still said there was no way Kenya was going to win the election, but this was the possible outcome.
Yes.
Do you have something that compares August 26 to November 4 to everything else?
Yes, we have.
Can you show that to me?
Yes. I've done that for each of the top two candidates.
Okay, yes. Guys, show me that one. So that is like a bar chart with...
Yes. So what is this? The deep blue is the results on Saturday for Bawumia.
Uh-huh.
In northern region, I think he's gone too far. He got 80% in the actual vote.
Yeah.
In the super delegate, he got 94%. And we put him at 87%.
Which is in between the two.
That's our predictions in the poll. When you come to OT, we got him to be 72%. Super delegate, that result was 72%. Super delegate, 53. But we were saying he was going to get 48. So we were saying...
He outperformed you?
Yes, outperformed.
Savannah,
we gave him 79 in the polls.
He got 70.
He got 70. In the Upper East, we got him 88. He got 69, underperformed. Upper West, we got him 85. He got 78. In Volta, 45. He got 67.
So Volta, you were predicting that he would do better?
Yes.
He didn't do that well?
Yes, because he was flipped there. Remember the flooding issue.
Western,
we said 47. He got 60.
He outperformed.
And then Western North, we said 60. He got 59.
Exactly what you said.
Yes.
Headquarters.
We didn't have poll for headquarters. We just the super delegate and then the actual result that came in. Ahafu, we said 69. He got 74. And Ashanti
was the biggest one.
Biggest one.
You said 43. He got 66.
Yes. Yes.
Bono, you said 63, he got 62.
Yes.
Bono is 75, got 76. Central, he said 27, he got 36.
Eastern, 68, he got 66.
Wow.
Accra, we said 55, he got 52. Northeast, we said 100, he got 99.
So you got Northeast correct, you got Accra correct, you got Eastern correct, you got Bono East correct, you got Bono correct. You missed Ashanti.
Yes, that was a
you got Northeast correct.
Yes.
But that's incredible. Amazing stuff. So, are you going to go on vacation? What are you going to do next? After all of this? Because you've been working on this for the past 6 months.
No, we're doing some private projects that we are winding up in the next week.
You do exit polls?
We are planning something like that, Bernard.
Or the Ghanaian culture doesn't...
No, we'll find a way to do it in a way that would be meaningful and sensible and not create any unnecessary apprehension.
Maybe Ghanaians will understand the culture of exit polls.
No, I think what we'll try to do is not to publish the results, but we'll look at the demography of people who are voting and the issues they are using to vote so that we can have the discussion before the poll comes out.
Sammi, what do you sense in the NPP about what Ken will do?
Well, he's pledged his support and loyalty to the party. He has said that he's going to help the new flag bearer, Dr. Bawumia, give the NDC a showdown, as he said on Saturday. Well, Ken should be given all the resources he will need to help prosecute the agenda of the NPP if they really want to break the age. Because this election has made us all know that Ken is not a pushover when it comes to the NPP internal politics, because a first-timer with such a number of votes, you don't just push him away. Just give him all the resources he will need to prosecute the agenda, help the NPP break the 8, because already his pledge is support for the flag bearer and the NPP as a political party. But Bernard, aside the presidential primaries, another major hurdle the party should expect is the parliamentary primaries.
When does it start?
It has always been a problem for political parties, parliamentary primaries, because disgruntled party supporters get angry from that base.
So they will start punishing people.
They will start punishing the party right from that base.
The MPs are in trouble.
And when the base gets angry, there's trouble. The party said they are going to start with the orphan constituency. That's the constituency without certain members of parliament. By close of December, they'll be done with that. And then January, February, they will consider the ones with sitting members of parliament. And that is where the wahala is.
Will you do some polls on those?
Yes, we'll target a key races that we think we could poll.
Wow.
Just like we did for the NDC.
You expect some big fishes to fall?
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes. Wow.
Yes.
Plenty of them.
Accra will deliver the most shocking ones.
So a lot of Accra people will fall.
They are at risk.
They will change their candidates.
Plenty.
I'm sure some of them know already. Wow. Great work, Mussa. Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you throughout the process. And I mean, with a science that we have to study and an art that we also have to practice. Thank you, Mussa Dankwa, Global Info Analytics, for that great job. Sammi Wiafe, correspondent, covers the president, covers the NPP, and was following the election pretty keenly. Thank you for being on the program. Hope you've enjoyed it and learned something. We'll see you next time. My name is Avle. Bye-bye.